Okay, folks, this is Aunt Beth. Welcome to my lamppost. I want to have a very firm Dutch uncle talk with you today about the end times. Just been praying for you all, the YouTube family and community. And there's a lot of buzz recently about, the rapture, will it occur this September? I don't think so. But regardless, what I want to talk to you about is a lot of apprehension and fear about the end times. This bothers me tremendously, so this is why I wanted to start this series on end times. Because fear is not of God. And I called this YouTube Good to the Last Drop out of James chapter 1. I think it was the brother of Jesus or half brother of Jesus. Yeah. James chapter 1, verses 2 through 5. Count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. So God wants you to succeed. God wants us all to succeed. He wants us to win. Okay? But we're not going to win by escaping and avoiding. It's like going to the gym. Just thinking about the gym doesn't make your muscles stronger. Gotta go. Not fun while you're there. It's nice to have your clothes fit well and to be able to carry in the groceries without getting out of breath. I think our attitude is going to make the difference. You know, my grandparents were fabulous. They were both believers. But when you heard my grandmother versus my grandfather talk about something, you're thinking, were they in the same room? My grandmother, nothing was ever right. My grandfather was so thrilled, it's just to be there in the nursing home the end of those days. They both lived till they were like 99. But for example, they moved to the nursing home, and of course, they're good, solid Germans from St. Louis, and very into cleanliness. And my grandmother was furious that somebody else was cleaning her room. My grandfather thought it was wonderful. Same set of circumstances. I think there's a poem about, the same circumstances that determines the set of your sails. But thinking of sailing, wind, the faster you'll go. So our attitude, it's not that we're being punished, but we're there sort of as God's SEAL Team 6 to help the other people that don't know him, rescue them, and walk through the situation with divine protection. Daniel talks about the people who know their God shall do mighty exploits. Revelation talks about, they overcame, and it's giving the summary of the people that walk through the end times. For me, I think of the miraculous provision, protection, and presence of the Lord. Didn't you ever, when you read the Bible, didn't you ever want to do this stuff? Well, now's our chance to do this stuff. But no, I don't think there's going to be an early exit for us. And a lot of the situations that happen in the book of Revelation, when we read it, we see it from almost a victim standpoint, and there's a lot of fear. But this is the revelation of Jesus Christ. His presence, His provision, His protection is going to be so awesome in these days. We can either focus our eyes on the process or focus our eyes on the end goal. Being conformed to His image. Was it a friend of mine used to say, no pain, no gain. That pain is the old man being stripped off. So yeah, we're going to continue going through on Thursdays the book of Revelation and the different seals and trumpets and vials as the Lord opens my eyes and what He's been talking to me about. But I think it's just really important that we go through this sort of as God's conditioning plan so that we are finished and perfect and mature. This world is not all that there is. We have eternity ahead of us. And God says that without faith, it's impossible to please Him. So we're going to have to exercise our faith. Think of this as kindergarten, where you learn how to read so that you can hit the ground running in first grade. We got more ahead of us. We got stuff to do. We're not just going to be sitting around for all eternity on our butts. We got stuff to do. We need to stay ready. We need to get ready. We need to get in shape. So if we look at the process itself, it can be rather intimidating or frightening. But God's got us. He's got our back. He's walking through it with us. And the end goal is that we will be overcomers, just like Him. We'll get a chance to do this stuff. You'll be part of God's rescue party. There's a whole bunch of people out there that must be absolutely terrified, and they don't know Him. So I want this to encourage you. What we're going through isn't to punish us, it's to finish us so that we will be perfect in the sense of mature, complete. All your muscles will be developed. You'll be ready to rock and roll with the next adventure. So, have a fabulous day. All God's best.